We live peacefully because we trust the system to protect us. But when that system fails, the world loses its order, and so do we. I used to believe the world would hold up its end. My name is Michael, and this is my story. My daughter Chloe was 7. A little storm of sunshine and noise. She'd talk to her cereal during breakfast, sing to our dog like he was her backup dancer, and ask questions that could humble philosophers. "Dad," she once said, "if dreams feel real, maybe being awake is the dream." I used to think she was too smart for cartoons. Every evening when my wife served dinner, Chloe would always try to prove she'd helped in the kitchen, sometimes even claiming she did most of the work. Her mom would just smile quietly and let her have the victory, while I'd say, "My sweet little girl, the best chef in the world." She had a laugh that could melt the weight off any heart. Even on days when my bones felt made of cement, one giggle from her and the whole house felt lighter. That day, nothing gave it away. If anything, it was aggressively normal, just like every other Tuesday. She was walking 3 blocks home from her friend's house. Just 3 blocks, clear skies, nothing unusual, no warning, no sign, nothing. By the time the evening light hit the kitchen window, I knew something was wrong. Dinner went cold. The house felt too big, too silent, and every tick of the clock started sounding like a question I couldn't answer. Chloe never came home. She was missing. After that, everything went underwater. 2 days of neighbors showing up, dropping off casseroles I never touched, speaking in those soft, tiptoe voices, pity dripping from every word. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the door, convinced she'd walk back in. My wife, Sarah, disappeared into a silence so heavy it felt like another presence in the house. I moved through those days as though I were drowning, desperate for anything to break the surface. The police did what they could. I trusted them. Because what choice did I have but trust? A few days later, the detective on the case showed up at my door. Detective Edgar. He had the kind of eyes that had seen too many things go wrong. He spoke gently, like someone trying not to make more noise in a room already full of grief. "We have a person of interest," he said. "A young man spotted near the route. Lives by the park. Name's Derek. He's different, developmentally delayed." The words just hung there, soft, heavy, and uncertain. They had a lead. That was supposed to mean hope. That was supposed to be everything. But what passed for evidence was paper thin. A blurry sighting, a vague description, a story that couldn't hold its own weight. I kept waiting for the breakthrough, for someone to say, "We've got him. Michael, we found her." But instead, the case crawled through the system like a wounded animal. In court, the judge said the words I'll never forget: "Insufficient evidence to hold the suspect." The judge's words hit me like a verdict. Not for Derek, but for Chloe. It felt like he'd just sentenced her memory to fade away. Derek stood there blinking, lost, like he didn't understand what had just happened. Maybe he didn't. He walked out of the courthouse and back into whatever life he had before this nightmare. I just sat there, watching the place that was supposed to give me justice go still. The doors closed. The world didn't care. It just kept moving. That was the moment something inside me cracked. I'd always believed the system might bend, but it would never break. Not completely. But that day I saw what it really was. A machine that didn't bleed, didn't feel, didn't care who it ran over as long as it kept turning. The deal I thought we all lived by, you do good, the world protects you, felt like a cruel joke. The system hadn't just failed me, it had thrown me out into the cold and locked the door behind me. After that, I stopped waiting for justice. I started making my own. I remember the smell of gasoline and cold air in the garage the night I decided I would not wait anymore. I thought about all the stories I'd seen, men pushed beyond reason, doing what no one else dared to do. I remembered one in particular, Jaguar, the man who became vengeance itself. I'd watched that story on this very channel, It's Just Fiction, and I told myself I was no different, that I was on the right course, that I was justified. I called my brother Jason. He came without asking why. He always did. That was the kind of brother he was. You didn't have to explain pain to him. He could hear it in your silence. His loyalty always made me feel safe. We stood in the garage, the air thick with cold and the smell of gasoline. I told him we needed to talk to Derek, to make him tell us where Chloe was. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. It was steady, too steady, like it had forgotten how to shake. Jason looked at me for a long moment. "Michael," he said, "there are other ways." Maybe there were, but I couldn't see them. Not with Chloe's empty chair still sitting at the dinner table, or her drawing still taped to the fridge. The silence in that house had already buried reason. I told Jason I'm not doing anything wrong. Then I said,
"We just need to make him talk."
Jason didn't argue. He just nodded. Once. The way you do when you already know nothing you say will change what comes next. We took Derek and brought him to an abandoned building my family once owned. We tied him to a chair in the center of the room. I wasn't Michael the father anymore. Something colder had taken my place. My voice came out steady, almost gentle, but the words cut like glass. I kept asking where Chloe was. Derek just shook his head and cried, his voice cracking into small, helpless sounds. I saw guilt in every tear, lies in every breath. I thought he was holding out on me, that he knew something and refused to say it, and it made me hate him even more. Jason stood by the door, his face ghost pale under the flickering light. "Michael, stop. Look at him," he said, voice trembling. "He's just a scared kid." But I couldn't hear him, or maybe I didn't want to. At that moment, I was very furious. Every second Derek didn't speak felt like another second my little girl might be suffering. "He's not a kid," I shouted. "He's the only lead we have." I pulled out the small pocket knife I'd carried for years. It had once been a harmless thing, something I used to open packages, to slice fruit for Chloe in the park. But under that flickering light, it didn't look harmless anymore. "Don't make me do this," I warned, though I already knew I would. My voice broke, half plea, half threat. Jason stepped forward, his hand trembling. "Michael, don't..." But I did. I stabbed Derek in the thigh, and the sound that left his mouth was something I'll never forget. It wasn't just pain, it was betrayal. The raw, guttural cry of someone who never understood why the world had turned cruel. Just as his scream started to fade, my phone rang. The sharp sound cut through the room. I froze. Jason stared at me, eyes wide, mouth open but silent. Slowly, I picked up. Detective Edgar's voice came through, urgent, breathless. "Michael, you need to come to the station. Now." I couldn't speak. My hand tightened around the phone. "We found her," he said. For a heartbeat, the world stood still. "Chloe," my voice cracked. "Is she?" "She's safe," Detective Edgar said quickly. "A motorist spotted a man forcing her into a van 2 towns over. We caught him. He confessed to everything." "Michael," he said slowly, almost like he was trying to ease a wound he couldn't see. "I know how you feel about Derek, but the truth is, he had nothing to do with it." The words hit me harder than any weapon could. My hand went numb, and the phone slipped, clattering onto the concrete. The sound echoed like a hammer striking the walls. When I looked up, Derek was staring at me. His eyes were wet and half open, struggling to stay conscious, filled with an innocence that tore through every wall of rage I'd built. Blood spread beneath him in a dark pool. He was shaking uncontrollably, whispering something I couldn't hear. Jason backed away, horrified. "What have you done?" he whispered. I couldn't answer. My chest felt like it had collapsed inward. All I could do was stare, at Derek, at the knife still lodged in his leg, at my own trembling hands. The truth burned through me, cruel and clean. I wasn't a man seeking justice anymore. I was the monster I'd feared existed in others. The drive to the station was a blur I barely remember. Jason sat beside me in silence, his hands stained with someone else's blood. Neither of us spoke. There was nothing left to say. When we arrived, the sight of Chloe standing there nearly brought me to my knees. Her small frame, wrapped in a blanket too big for her, eyes half closed with exhaustion, she looked untouched by the darkness that had swallowed me whole. She shouted with joy, "Daddy!" and ran into my arms. For a second, everything froze. Her heartbeat pressed against mine, fragile and real. I wanted to stay there forever, to believe that love could erase what I'd done. But the truth was already in motion, and there was no stopping it. Behind me, Detective Edgar's voice was careful, heavy with a tone I hadn't heard before. "Michael, what happened?" I said nothing. I couldn't. The words would have turned to ash in my mouth. Edgar's expression hardened as he understood. He didn't shout, didn't curse. He simply nodded, as though he'd seen too many men cross that same invisible line. The police moved fast. They went to the abandoned building immediately. I didn't follow. By the time they returned, the news had already reached me. Derek hadn't survived. The knife had pierced his thigh, slicing the femoral artery. Blood poured fast, unstoppable, and life slipped away with it. They came for me right after. I didn't resist. The confession happened right there in the station. I told them everything. Every word I shouted, every choice I made. There was no courtroom speech, no attempt to justify anything. Now I sit in this cell, my world smaller and stripped of meaning. People think punishment is about time, about bars and walls. It isn't. Punishment is memory, the kind that wakes you up at night and won't let you breathe. Chloe sleeps in her own bed again. She's safe. She has her laugh back, and maybe one day she'll forgive me for not being the man she believed I was. My wife visits sometimes. She tries to hide the pain, but it lingers in her eyes like a ghost neither of us can banish. I used to think the system failed me, that it failed my family, but the truth is harsher. The system was flawed, yes, slow, imperfect, human. But in trying to fix it with my own hands, I became its worst failure. I killed an innocent man because I believed I knew better, because I couldn't wait, because I thought justice was something you could take. Now the sound of that night plays on repeat in my head. Derek's cry, the ring of the phone, the silence that followed. They've become the soundtrack of my punishment. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but sometimes hell isn't a place, it's a moment. It's the moment you start believing you're the hero while holding the knife.
My baby with another man, got me a bottle, got me a gun. Oh Lord, it hurts like hell. My baby's with that man, gonna take a drink, sit right down. My mind messed up, gotta think. I'm gonna take another drink. My baby's with that man. Oh, I've seen her with that man. It hurts my heart so bad.